Welcome, everybody. And today I'm excited to bring Nedra Rezinas to you today. She is a marketing coach that specializes in working with introverted and empathy-driven professionals. We have so many great things to talk about. And I know as a health and wellness coach, counselor, therapist, you may not necessarily be an introvert, but you're definitely empathy-driven. And it can be really hard, whether you're an empathy-driven person or an introvert, to really want to put yourself out there. And we know you have to put yourself out there when marketing your business in order to attract new clients and work with referral sources. So welcome, Nedra.
Thanks so for inviting me.
Yes, I'm so glad to hear. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself. What were you doing before you were doing this work? And what led to your focus on helping introverts with their marketing?
Yeah, so before I focused more on coaching and marketing help, I was doing web design for 15 years with clients. And what I kept running into over and over again is that a lot of clients needed help way beyond the website. They wanted help with all the marketing. And it was funny because I would help them build the website. And they're like, okay, now what? I'd be like, wait, you don't have a plan? And they're like, no, not really. I'm like, oh, okay, let's. So it just kept happening over and over again. And I would do these strategy sessions with them before we even built their website to help get a sense of what they wanted. And I'll tell you, the conversation was really veered left of the whole conversation around the website. A lot of times it was, what do I do about social media? What do I do about email marketing? Oh, how do I network? And so it became clear over time that people needed a lot of help with their marketing and just wanted somebody to they could trust and listen to them, and I could bounce back what they're saying and put it in a plan that could help them actually play their strengths. Not 'cause a lot of times I'd seen the same kind of client where they were much more introverted or just not very like don't necessarily embrace the idea of video, or just not the very loud extroverted marketing that we all know and see, and wanted some quieter ways to do it. So over time, right around the pandemic, I was like doing some like beta testing on marketing coaching, and it just took off, and that's how I am where I am today.
Wonderful. Well, I can imagine because I remember that time when the pandemic happened, and most people were used to marketing in person. I mean, that is what we did in person, working, calling on referral sources, and we've always had client word of mouth. But when everything shut down and all you had was a phone or a laptop and connecting with people online, the floodgates open when it came to, looking for help with online marketing. So yeah, it's wonderful that you were able to switch in that direction and really be there for people and meet them where they're at and what they need. But I'm sure, like you said, it was a challenge because people just aren't used to that. And so, especially if, as we talked about, if someone is an introvert, you're not comfortable putting yourself out there. Or in the case of like a lot of the clients I work with who are therapists or licensed credentialed professionals in graduate school, and with our professional ethics, we are taught to create boundaries between our personal lives and our professional lives and relationships with clients, so we don't have that dual relationship. And putting yourself out there on social media is challenges that, so I'm excited
Absolutely.
get into some of the strategies that clients who maybe have that concern, business owners who have that concern can do. But before we go diving in, tell me about the clients that you work with, like the types of business owners and the services that you currently offer through your coaching. That way, if when we get through this, if anybody is really interested in working with you, then they'll know, like, okay, I need to connect with Nedra.
Yeah, I think I work with primarily service-based businesses, and basically I work with on the smaller side, usually between like 1 to 10 people. A lot of times it's a sole turnover, or maybe someone has a few contractors or a few employees. And there's a whole range of different industries, but a lot of them are, I actually was working with some coach therapists yesterday. I've worked with contractors, construction work. I've done help with authors and web designers. It's, folks that are a lot of times just, again, even the profession is more quieter and they're a little bit leans towards introvertedness. So it's just trying to help them find ways, again, playing to their strengths. Like, how do they like to connect with people? And a lot of times I'll tell you, is not social media. That's the last thing people want to do. So I help them find alternatives to that or how to reduce it so they can use it, but use it so that it's not going to take up all their time and energy, you know? And so there are no ways to work with me. First off, is I do basically like coaching packages of like 3 months and kind of like sessions of like every 2 weeks. And what happens in there's a lot of breakthroughs. I create a very safe space. I help them see things they can't see themselves. And I give them homework and help hold them accountable as they work through. Usually it's in transition. Usually they're trying to figure something out or something's changing in their lives. And it kind of goes beyond even business coaching and ends up being a little bit of life coaching there too. So it's really impactful and really happy to see the results my clients have. It's pretty impressive. And then if you want something a little bit more targeted, I do a 90-day custom marketing roadmap, which literally can be done in one day. And it's really helpful if someone is just not sure what to be doing like tactically. Again, kind of really speaking to relationship building, email marketing, referral based marketing, all those types of things that definitely, and looking back, like I've helped definitely some coaches and therapists, and that's exactly what it was. And creating some systems in place to help them stay top of mind, but do it their way, not feel like they're not being obnoxious or annoying, or they feel like it's being very genuine, authentic. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. So many business owners, we start a business without a business plan, without a marketing plan. Everybody just sort of dives in. But it is very reassuring if you take the time to sit down and truly analyze, what your goals are, what type of marketing makes the most sense for not only your clients, but for you. Because if it doesn't make sense for you and you don't enjoy it, you're not going to be consistent. So I love that you offer that service to be able to help somebody figure that out for themselves, and it's something that is real tangible and tactical that they can get started in and then have your coaching support, to support them in that if they need it.
Mhm.
So here's a question that I love to ask because everybody looks at it differently. So, how do you define marketing? Like when you're talking to your clients, how do you explain to them what marketing is and what marketing is not? Because marketing is a word that's only this long, but it's terrifying to people who lead a business, especially someone who was, a professional in providing services and they decided to launch out on their own to provide services that they're really good at, but they want to be their own boss and business owner and create a new life for themselves. But marketing is just terrifying to them. So what is it? What is it not?
Good question. So I actually teach this to college students as well in different universities here in Portland. And a lot of times what I find, and most people think they love marketing and advertising together. And it's very, very different because marketing is the act of like sharing a message around a product or service. And advertising is like its whole other animal. It's like basically, kind of like partially selling, partially putting out there. But marketing itself can have so many facets. Like you said, it's a lot. And I think the trick of it is being consistent and having like your brand and your tone and your colors and everything locked in so people know it's you. No, if it's you representing or you're representing a company or whatever it is, because businesses take on all shapes and forms, but it's to help you a professional, help you people understand what you do too. It's like basically, sharing how you solve problems. I'm really big into framework, Dalton Miller, and helping people understand how to use that to explain what they do in a way that reaches the people that they care about or they want to help. Because the thing about marketing, I think people sometimes think you're just blasting to everyone, and honestly, that is not what you should be doing at all. But that happens a lot when you're first starting out. So to me, marketing is just finding the consistent messaging that can really share and speak to the right people that kind of creates a magnetism to help them draw to you and you draw to them.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people equate marketing to sales, and it's like, I don't want to sell myself a well, and when I first got into marketing, I worked for a hospice agency and I was a social worker who's over the bereavement program for the different locations. And when they asked me, to start doing marketing because they didn't have a marketer. The owners were doing all of that. I'm like, if you want me to go out and share with referral sources and families what we do and how we help and see what needs they are, and how we can help them, I will do that. But you can't call me a marketer. Because I just seemed like a dirty word to me at the time. And I think a lot of
Uh,
people, struggle with that. But I would say the same thing as you. It's like marketing is your message. You're sharing how you can help. But where I think it can feel sort of like cringy is when you're trying to go into places that you don't know if you can even help at all. But if
yeah.
you really know who you can help and what their pain points are and the transformations they want, like what you learn with Story Brand. I love Donald Miller as well.
Mhm.
When you have that marketing message down, it just makes it so much easier to just have a conversation with someone and you really are giving them a lifeline to meet whatever their needs are. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a different feeling, and it comes across much more authentically, yeah.
For sure, for sure. Are there any like particular like marketing myths, any other like marketing myths or that you sort of have to debunk or reframe with your clients when you first start working with them? They're like, okay, I'm ready to start marketing and commit to it. But and
Mhm.
it's sometimes
Right.
explain to them, well, that's not really how it is. So any
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think first off, it's like I think so many people think they have to do all the digital marketing. They have to do all the social media platforms. They have to do all the things. And I'm like, yeah, no wonder you're stressed out because that's not true. But I think people fall into these like patterns where somebody told them to do this and they thought that was a good idea, even though that person had authority on it and just, may have read a quote or something, like, or they just heard something. I think it's so important for you to research and see where your audience is spending their time. Like, are they listening to podcasts? Are they like reading online magazines? Are they listening to? Are they watching TikTok videos? Where are they hanging out? Like that's like, I feel so bad sometimes. I feel like I'm a broken record, but there was one day I remember I was on calls with three different people and all just kept asking like, where should I be? Which platform should I be on? I'm like, no. I think the question is where are your people? Where are they hanging out where you want to be? If not, it's gonna be all this energy and money and effort and for nothing. So I think that's one of the biggest myths is to kind of slow down and be willing to do some research investigation to see who you're serving and where can you deliver your messages to properly.
definitely. And I think a lot of the people are just more aware of marketing now because of social media, honestly. And that is what people see all the time. And so they think social media is marketing. And there's so many types of social media that it's so easily to feel overwhelmed thinking, not only do I have to do marketing, but all the marketing is on social media and there's 3 or 4 platforms and the content is all different that they really do overlook the marketing foundations. And so that's something that I definitely want to you to share today because I know these are the things that you help clients put in place because as an introvert, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, but they work really well for introverts, those foundations don't even involve you being on social media. So
Yeah.
even if you're an extrovert, before you get to social media and being so public out there, there's still some foundations to put in place that's marketing behind the scenes where you're not putting yourself out there. And there is
Mhm.
a lot of pressure to show up online because of the influencer culture and so much of what we see,
Yeah.
it's people who are trying to be thought leaders or influencers. And so I like to remind clients, you're not an influencer. You're a therapist. You're a coach. You're an
Right.
author, and you're trying to have a national name and recognition or an international audience. That's completely different. But if you
Yeah.
therapist or counselor or a group practice owner running a professional practice, it's not about you being online every day and showing all the behind the scenes stuff and taking your dog
Yeah.
for a walk and everything else. So, but if you're trying to be an influencer or creator, that's a whole different story. So it's really important to look at your marketing's role in your business itself. let's go ahead and dive into sort of the foundations that a business owner, a therapist, health and wellness provider should have in place, that not only should they have it in place, but they work perfectly for someone who is introvert or empathy driven and just don't have a lot of confidence about showing up like loud in public online to get started and really work for them before
Right.
they even think about social media.
Yeah, and I think, and I've worked with a few folks in this industry, and some of it where we start is two places. One, email marketing can be a really great place to have a very intimate conversation with people, and emails can last for like years. Like somebody can have your email in their inbox, and just by a search find it. And it's you think about social media, maybe it lasts a week, but email can be really powerful. I think people forget that, and I think, and I'm actually teaching this to a cohort next week that's stuck to my head. Yeah, email can um, have a different kind of conversation, and you can really target it towards people too, depending on how you segment your list. And I think people first get really overwhelmed by like, how can I even build a list? And I think you just start by asking people to open up the list and putting it everywhere somebody's filling out a form. And you want to ask permission because that's the right thing to do. And you'd be surprised how many people will say yes. I think again, like you're saying earlier, Hope, people are just so like, this definitely leans more towards introverts, like so afraid to ask and put themselves out there. But it's good to kind of do these little experiments with clients and be like, well, just try it and see what happens. And you'll be surprised. So, and then the second part of that is I would recommend relationship building because that is where a lot of referral can happen. And that's like the bread and butter of therapists and counselors, like a lot of times where they get their work. So being, seeing what your current community of people are and where natural referral people come into place. And, you never know. It could be that you end up helping folks in the vet industry or animal wellness industry, or you could, it could be helping teachers. I've known therapists that have like their specialty becomes, high school and elementary teachers. And so it's getting to know your community and making sure that you maybe have relationships with those schools. And I think it's kind of figuring out who you help best and really into it more, which can be very uncomfortable. That's why I think it's you want to take your time and do some research to see if that's the right fit.
And, and the things that you mentioned, one, like email marketing, and I know that, email marketing has a lot of different nuances to it, but just a big monthly newsletter that you send something out once a month to keep in touch and to stay in front of the contacts you have made, even if you're building that very slowly. If
Yeah.
you're an introvert or you are reluctant to ask people to even join your newsletter list, even if you're adding 2 or 3 people at a month, that builds up over time. I love to tell people most everything I learned about marketing, I learned from a lawyer because I worked for an estate and elder care planning attorney, and she was brilliant at marketing, but she was so centered. And I saw her do exactly what you're saying. Every luncheon we went to, every networking event we went to, every phone call she never failed to end that encounter with offering to add them to her email list for her monthly.
Wow, that's impressive. Yeah.
That was part of her marketing protocol. And so she got
Yeah.
a newsletter list where she sends out just one newsletter a month and just a little topic about a topic related to estate planning or elder care, and it clicks to a blog post. She's excellent at blogging, and that went out, and then just had the little reminders, of her services and has done that for. She's probably been in business nearly 20 years now. It's been so consistent with that. So, and today the little QR codes. Now that people know how to use them, I think that's another easy way if someone does have a newsletter that someone can subscribe to, and they can just easily offer that to them and say, "Hey, I have a code on the back if you'd like to join my email list," and they can just. So yeah, there's lots of things, but I think therapists and counselors are naturally built for marketing, even though they don't think so, because marketing requires you to have reflective listening and to have empathy and just one-on-one connection and honest relationship building with people. And therapists, counselors, and coaches do that naturally. So I think they
Mhm.
have the skills to do it, but it's one, reframing it. It's not sales, it's not advertising. But two, as you mentioned, okay, what marketing tactics, methods
Mhm.
are the best fit? So I'm
Yeah.
sharing those. I mean, that's so do but when we talk to people naturally, we're marketing, we don't realize that we are. So I hope that people give
Mhm.
themselves more credit to know, like, I'm
Yeah.
doing things that I don't realize I'm doing that's considered marketing. And it's just tuning into it and sort of fine tuning it. So aside from having their website, an email list, and in person networking, I think those are, like, the core 3 things that should have
Yeah.
before they jump into social media. When they're
Mhm.
ready to jump into social media, what are some tips that you have for people who don't necessarily wanna put themselves out there a whole lot? They are concerned about personal boundaries, but they know, especially if they work with the younger generation, a younger clientele, they are
Um,
not online. Some ways that they can take the next step into social media, but without it being overwhelming, with it being
mhm.
comfortable for them, but manageable. So,
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I think one of the first things to do is thinking about creating a bunch of content and then having like a content calendar or planning it out. So you just do this, well, you batch it like one day a month. Maybe you have like 2 posts a week and just to start, just to get get used to it and start that machine of content. I think that's a really much eat better approach. I think some people are just kind of scrambling, like, what do I post? And it's like, no, no, no. You need to kind of be methodical and plan ahead. And that gives you some ideas to like, have some topics. Like these tools like Canva can help you create like little carousel pictures. And maybe you want to, a lot of times just education is really what you want to be doing, especially if you're like a counselor or therapist. And of course, setting boundaries around what you share. Absolutely. And that is, I mean, there's a lot of ethical things to watch out for in that industry. So I think really sticking to helping to educate and just being aware of that and picking some topics that are very relevant to your clients, I think is very important. So don't be too general because that's not going to attract the right people to you. But like if you're specializing in trauma, find ways that you can talk about that without in a calm manner. Of course, if you don't want to trigger anybody, but also you want to show that you going back to the story brand, you want to show like how you can help someone through that. What their pain, you talk about the pain points, and then you can talk about the outcomes of working with you. And of course, you gotta be careful if you have any kind of testimonial or anything like that. But I think you can mostly, with permission, tell some stories about people you've helped, or maybe just even like some really generic stories and like how it alters somebody's life and play with that. And I think this watching other people a little bit carefully because you don't want to do comparison. You don't want to, it gets all a perfectionist thing going in our head, but just seeing if there's other people in your industry, what they're doing, and if you like it, and maybe you can even model after that a bit. And I think it's actually great to pick people that are not in your city. Like look at maybe other therapists or counselors in different cities across the country, and just kind of spur some ideas too.
I agree with that. That's one of the things that when I was doing marketing strategies for clients and now doing websites, I'm like, let's look at what
Mhm.
people are doing in other states, but in your niche, because it can be very
Yeah.
unflattering. And never duplicating exactly what somebody's doing because that works for them, but
Right.
be very inspiring
Yeah.
because oftentimes we find that people local competitors or people in the same industry often aren't doing very much either, and that's all you
Yeah.
see, so that's all you know, but you can look out a little broader and see what people are doing in other areas, and not only does it give you ideas, but now you can start implementing that, and it doesn't take long to stand out at all. I al
Right, right.
That's what we talk about content marketing through blog posts and having those blog posts on your website,
Mhm.
how valuable
Yeah.
for your website and search. But I know for someone who's an introvert, that's a fantastic way to start with some core content marketing because it's just writing an article
Yeah.
and they can think about the common questions that new clients when they have a consult ask or commonly come up in sessions. So they really have it in them. They have the marketing content in them. It's just having someone like you, a coach, to sort of help them understand where that
Right.
those ideas can come from and how to best serve their clients, and then put it together, on their blog, and then sending that out
Mhm.
month in their newsletter. I love long form content and repurposing it, and then
Yeah.
that feeds their social media, and they never have to show up on camera if they don't want to.
Right.
So I do see a lot of people today will take, I haven't tried this, but they'll take like the B-roll footage of them doing something that has nothing to do with they're talking about. I don't know if you've tried this, but it is very
Mhm.
trendy. I mean, you might just be like making a sandwich or a recipe or something, has nothing to do with the topic, but someone just voices over that video. So they're not
Mhm.
talking on camera, they're just voicing over on a topic. And I don't know how, but that seems to keep people's interest more than if you're doing a video that seems related to what you're talking about. I don't know how long
Yeah.
the trend will last, but
Right, right, exactly.
if somebody really, if they want to feel like they need to show some element of themselves behind the scenes for that personal connection that people really want
Yeah.
to, that today, that is a way to do it. That's why you see a lot of walk and talk videos, or people just sitting in cars. I
Maybe
sit in cars and have a quick conversation.
yep, it so sure is.
But navigating the ethics of it all is something that clinicians have to be really mindful of. And I think it's very doable with social media. The things that you
Mhm.
mentioned, not sharing any client testimonials that make them identifiable with or without
Right.
permission. I know at least for our licensed clinical social workers, licensed professional counselors, and psychologists, the rules and regulations for each profession state that you cannot solicit testimonials or reviews from clients and use them for marketing purposes, even if they leave you a positive Google review, because that is a dual relationship. You're taking, even though they did it voluntarily, but they can use personal recommendations from other colleagues. So that is,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
that's a
the
really great
workaround.
way. Referral sources and supervisors is a really great way to do that. Anything else that you feel is important for people to know about if they are empathy driven or introverted, just don't have a lot of confidence in or worried about that they just have to put themselves out there too much. So let me ask you, how do you
Mhm.
be authentic when you show up, but
Mhm.
then out with like exposing too much of your personal life? I think that's what people struggle with.
I do.
Being authentic doesn't mean completely, like, revealing everything about yourself, like, that's 2 different things. You
Mhm.
know of
Right.
authenticity without completely
Yeah.
revealing everything about yourself.
Exactly. Well, I think before you start, maybe you find a few parts about your life that you do feel good about talking about to kind of share. For example, I'll just take my example. I became a bit of a birder during the pandemic and really love bird watching and joined a club and become an active throughout the whole thing. And so, I mean, I'll kind of weave that into what I talk about or connect with people in that capacity, which is really fun and more maybe have more about nature that I like to go enjoy or just little things like that. And I think it just opens up your personality a little bit more and who you are and people can relate with you. So I think if you take some really safe spaces like that or safe subjects, even like I love to cook, so sometimes I'll talk about that when I'm writing blog posts or newsletters, and it's relatable. People are like, "Oh yeah, here I'll share this recipe with you." It just opens doors for a different kind of conversations that help people know that you're really human and that it just makes you feel more comfortable to talk to. I think so. I think just picking a few again, like you can draw a line and say, I'm not going to talk about my family. I'm not going to talk about certain things in my life, but maybe some hobbies or something that I'm really passionate about and want people to get excited about. Because I'm excited about it. I think is really good subject matter for that.
Oh, okay, so I wanted to ask before we wrap up, is there anything else you feel is important for people to know that we didn't talk about, that I didn't ask about, or we didn't mention? Anything come to mind?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about one of the kind of little secrets that I share with people is if you want to stand out, differently. I think the magic of handwritten cards is one of those things that can make you stand proud. Why do I say that? Well, first off, it's a lot of effort to write a card. And how many times do you get a handwritten card in the mail? It is pretty rare. And actually, Hope and I have talked about this. I know Hope has a practice where she sent out cards around Thanksgiving. I think they're really nice gratitude cards. And I got one. It was really sweet. So I think picking something like that where you maybe have a routine and you do it maybe once a year, the people that, especially your referral partners or people, past clients, I think it can have a lot of meaning. And I know one of uh, Stacey Brown Randall, she has a whole amazing program around referral. She chooses to set out cards on Mother's Day to clients and people that she knows that are mothers. And I think that's so sweet. It's just unexpected. And the idea here is to not just send out like a holiday card or not do something a little different and set it out when people are least expecting it. And call up a thank yous for people that do refer you, and be generous with your gift giving if that's something you're allowed to do. I know that there's definitely some ethics for boundaries around that, but if you can, I think giving someone a gift that speaks to them, that they really appreciate, something they can use over and over again. Like this mug. This mug I'm holding up is from Enchanted Forest. It's a place I love to go every year, and I was given it, and I use it every single day, and I think about it, and I think about that person who gave it to me, and it has a lot of meaning. So, you don't want to just give somebody something with like a tchotchke or has your logo on it, or you want to give something that has meaning. And other rules around that are like, you don't want to give food because it disappears. Flowers actually die. You want to give something that just has a lasting momentum. So those are just some things that I teach a lot about and help educate, because I think, again, you want to stand out, and social media is not a good place where you're going to stand out. Is doing something a little different these days is where it's at.
Yeah, it's like back to some of those old school things that actually capture people's attention. And you're right. So one of the things I do every year for anyone who has referred to me that year or I've collaborated with that year, and all of my clients for that year, is sending out a Thanksgiving card, because we are
Mhm.
all expecting Christmas cards, that no one is expecting a Thanksgiving card. And it is that perfect opportunity to express my gratitude for them for that year. And so I get a lot of positive feedback on that. But like you said, anytime you collaborate with someone or someone refers to you, another professional, to just like, I have a little stack of cards, and you don't have to pay a lot of money for them. But I found these at Target, and they match my brand. So I use these little blank note cards. So you don't have to spend a lot of money, and they probably go a much longer way than having like professionally designed with your business name and all that on it. It's just more of a personal touch. Just little things that you can do that really makes you human and authentic as well. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Gratitude goes a long way. Okay, so as we're wrapping up, I love to ask, what are one or two valuable lessons that you have personally learned as a business owner, or maybe some words of wisdom that you love sharing with fellow professionals who are also on this business owner journey, like in their marketing and building a business?
Don't be afraid to experiment, because marketing is all about experimentation. And I think it's important to be consistent when you are trying something new, and showing up and doing it, and putting like a time frame around it. Like maybe it's doing something from like 1 to 2 months, and then being sure to look at the data afterwards. And did you accomplish what you wanted? Look at the results, the analytics, and see what did you learn. I think the the trick when you're running a business is to fail fast and learn quickly, and pivot if you need to. And we've done a lot of pivoting in the last, I don't know, 6 years. It's been a wild ride, but I think if you reframe marketing as an experiment instead of like, oh, I do this all the time, forever, it's going to be a different situation, and it's going to feel differently, not so heavy, because I think about marketing, it changes a lot, and especially in the digital marketing field, it would go back to tried and true methods like the handwritten cards, a little less. It's not going to change as much, but so I think just being willing to experiment. That's the thing I love to leave people with when talking about marketing and just run your business, because things change, and change accepting change is it's hard, but it's good if you can kind of put perspective on it.
That's good advice and so hard to hear, especially when you're a new business owner because you're like, just tell me what to do that works. Because I only have so much money and only have so much time. But that is the reality. There is nothing that is cookie cutter that is guaranteed to work every time for everybody. It takes time and it's a process and it takes a lot of tweaking for sure. And everything evolves. As your business evolves, your marketing will evolve, your clients evolve as your business grows and you have to adapt to that. The society changes, more everything changes. So that's very wise words. You just have
Thanks.
to embrace change. Okay, so what's the best way for listeners to connect with you and to keep up with all of your fantastic marketing insights? Because I know you are out there and you're putting some great marketing information out into the world. So how can they connect with you and follow along?
It's based so you can go to my website, just nedrarezinas.com and sign up for my newsletter, or you can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm usually pretty frequently posting on there as well.
Yeah, you're really active on LinkedIn. And then I think you send out at least a monthly newsletter. I learn something every time.
Mhm.
Read your newsletter. So
Thanks.
you always have like a little picture. So, like, do you like photography? You like to take pictures. And so you put a little picture in your newsletter. Really
Yeah,
nice.
I mean, again, kind of like loving nature. So I actually try to, yeah, to take pictures of flowers because, again, I want to create like a sense of calm and beauty. Not, just when people think of marketing, they think of like ugly icons and pictures of the iPhone. That's not what I'm trying to create.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad you noticed that. I hope it's definitely part of like more of a respecting people where their people are at and trying to create more of a quiet, calmer marketing platform. So.
Oh, and then if somebody wants to maybe set up some marketing coaching sessions with you, 8-day strategy, they just go to your website, you do a free consult. Is that how they reach out to you?
Exactly. Yeah, they can just fill out the contact form and we can start talking. Yeah, it's that easy.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for joining me today and sharing this. I know everyone's going to get a lot out of it and then also can feel really comfortable that if there's somebody they want to reach out and talk to more about this, someone who truly understands where they're at, you're a great resource for them. Well,
Thank you.
thanks everyone for joining. I know that you got a lot out of working with Nedra. She is wonderful. I've met her actually online on LinkedIn. She's very active on LinkedIn, maybe about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I have learned so much from her. So if you are an introvert or not, but you want help with your marketing, just learning exactly what you should be doing for your business, your comfort level that really works for you and your clients, that's practical and sustainable and effective. She's a wonderful resource. I hope you reach out to her. We'll see you next time.